9.
Welcome back to the G&TPODCAST.
Welcome.
Sorry for the delay, guys. It was just a busy weekend, and yeah, we had plans to do a special episode, and we just couldn't get everyone together at the same time, so we just put that off, and then it kind of snowballed a bit. So we were gonna postpone that, but we'll just roll on with it.
I've got
today.
new headphones. I just like to throw that out there. I can hear my own voice in them, and like I actually feel sorry for every single one of you because I hate my own voice. So yeah,
You can hear me closer to your ear,
yeah.
like I'm right there whispering.
It's like when I go to sleep at night and he stands over my bed and whispers
Yeah.
into it. It's quite cute, really, if nothing else.
But
Travis, how was the weekend? What's the crack? What's been going on in your life?
Weekend was good.
Yeah.
I just want to say before we kick off here, if you guys want to contribute to our Patreon, just check out the links in all their socials. They'll be in the description box for this, but they'll also be in the link in my bio on Instagram and TikTok. So it would mean a lot if you could contribute to the Patreon. What we're going to do is we're going to add some extra bonus episodes for patrons, which will include more juicy, explicit content.
What will they include? What are the people paying for? Sell it to them. Sell it to them, Travis.
Okay, things that we have planned already are the drunk cast. So it's going to be like this, but there's going to be the three of us, and we're going to be drinking. We're going to drink quite a bit. Gordon doesn't drink, so that is something you'll get to see. He claims he's the exact same, but you'll have to tune in just to see if he is the exact same. I personally believe that he gets drunk like everyone else, but he doesn't.
We shall see.
It's patreon.com/GTMPod. So all support is appreciated. And we'll get on with things. How was your weekend?
My weekend was stunning, relaxing. I enjoyed myself. I read a bit of Shakespeare. You know, it's a tough life I lead. I went and read Hamlet.
Okay.
Hamlet is my favourite. I enjoy Hamlet immensely. I think he's a very deep and complex character that everyone, no matter where they are, can relate to Hamlet.
So
have you ever read
that?
Hamlet?
Was your weekend plan?
Yeah.
I read Hamlet in school.
Did you enjoy it?
Wait, what? Hamlet,
yeah. His father gets killed and his uncle marries his mother and no.
Oh, I don't think I did. I did The Merchant of Venice.
Hamlet is the one with the speech, to be or not to be, whether 'tis noble in the mind.
I don't think we did that at school, actually.
You are missing out.
Yeah.
I have it upstairs. Read it.
Can't see me reading that,
no,
to be honest.
Can't see you reading it. Can't see him reading it.
You know,
I would highly recommend
nice
it, though.
that you read a bit of poetry. You didn't watch the McGregor fight or anything?
It's actually a play, not poetry. You know, get it right.
I'm looking like a serious noob here.
The greatest writer of all time. Yes, he did poetry.
Okay, that was a bit of an oversight.
Yeah, so I read a bit of Hamlet. I just watched some movies.
Yeah.
I watched Transformers. Deep love of Transformers.
Which one?
The first one.
The first one's really good.
Yeah, it just happened to be on TV, so I said I watch it. And
I watched one of them when I was
nice,
and it was mad.
I can imagine.
Mental. I actually didn't have I watched the whole thing and I had no idea what was going on. It was the one with the Irish actor as the main character. He's
Transformers.
Yeah. There is an Irish actor in it. He's probably should have checked my facts before this, but because it starts in the countryside, and I think he finds out Optimus Prime is in his shed.
You mean Mark Wahlberg?
No,
Mark Wahlberg's the main character in that. He is in the shed, but Mark Wahlberg's not Irish.
There is an Irish actor.
Mark Wahlberg is literally from Boston, like.
I know who Mark Wahlberg is.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
It's is it the second or third Transformer movie? There's an Irish actor in it. I swear to God, he's in Irish movies as well.
I have no idea who that is.
I kind of want to Google it, but nah. You know what? It's a small detail. Anyways, you watched Transformers.
Watch Transformers.
You didn't stay up to watch McGregor
get
beat.
What did I do? I watched basketball with Martin. We did a questions and answer box. It was fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did that.
I didn't see that.
You were watching the fight.
Yeah.
No, we did a questions and answer box. People were really nice. They were asking how we were, hoping we were getting on okay. So we appreciated that, and we watched basketball and then went to bed. Then on Sunday we went to shoot some hoops. It was obviously, I'm not as athletically talented as Martin with the old basketball, but I'm still able to hit the trees, baby. Drizzling twos, raining trees, like.
At least you tried.
So
what do you think of McGregor getting his ass whooped?
I only saw the highlights. I didn't see the whole fight, so I can't really.
He got sparked.
I saw that, yeah. I saw he got He literally got put to sleep. Now, to be fair to him, he did take it well.
Yeah. Well, he's very humble now, isn't he? He's just full of respect. He's not trash talking. But I feel like maybe his time is over.
Why do you think he's not trash talking?
I think he's just matured a bit. It's hard to know. I'm still on the fence with McGregor because, I liked him as his rise to fame happened, and then I just started not liking him when all the trials happened and the
alleged
ones, or all the controversies, the punching old man in the pub,
and that gets cut out right there.
That's fine. But yeah, he just became really unlikable, and I stopped liking him, and it was that kind of thing where it was like no one was getting to see him fight. He wasn't doing anything for his fans, so I was just like, obviously he's on his rise to fame and he's kind of like getting all the money and stuff. But yeah, was he giving the fans much fights? Not really. He retired 3 times or something. So I was just like, yeah. But then,
do you think he owes it to the fans?
No. Well, I don't know. Your fans give you everything, essentially. Your fans are the reason why your whiskey business is so successful. So I think for him, the ratio of what he was getting to what he was giving back to the fans was quite off. And so I think he just lost a lot of respect along the way. But, it still hurt to see him lose. I don't know why. Because I was kind of like, I thought beforehand I'd be like, screw McGregor. But seeing him get beat, I was just like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that someone is like so cocky and obnoxious and they're thriving then. And then when they kind of get humble, they get beat. It's hard to feel good about it.
I have a question. Why is he revered for his cockiness and his confidence, but Floyd Mayweather is considered not? And
because
he's vilified
people love when you talk the talk and you can back up your talk with actions. People love that. But so even if you're obnoxious and you're making wild claims, but then you're backing up the claims, people still respect you. But, and you can already see that happening to Jake Paul.
But how about Floyd Mayweather? Has he not backed it up enough?
He's not. Well, he didn't shout loud enough.
But he
didn't create enough mayhem as Conor did. I don't think, because he's not a big trash talker, is he?
He would be. Yeah, he would be. Not to the extent that Conor is, but
but Conor's more loud. He's Conor's a dub.
they're both as cocky as each other, but it's just interesting to me the stark differences that Conor is revered for it, whereas Floyd Mayweather is vilified for it.
Yeah.
I think he posted about it the other day, making the stark contrast. And I actually thought about it. Like, even if you look at others that would go down the same road, it's just interesting as to why he gets vilified for it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking the levels here. I think it's just because Conor just made more of a fuss. But as I said, Jake Paul got so much respect for knocking out Nate Robinson.
Do you think so?
He did, yeah.
From who?
Because they're mainly kids. They're mainly kids, right?
Exactly.
But if Jake Paul goes on to fight someone else, especially a fighter, if he goes to fight like a Michael Bisping or fucking whoever from the UFC, he probably will. But if he wins, I guarantee you, people's perception of him will start to change.
But he won't win at all.
No,
it's you. No.
Well, he shouldn't even be in the equation right now. It's just because he's got so much clout and he can. Well, we both know how we feel about it. I
think if he wants to fight, he should fight McGregor's sparring partner Dylan.
Yeah,
and just get put to sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's a logical one because they have actual beef and they're both like influencers in a sense. I know Dylan's more of a fighter, but
Dylan's a boxer. Like he wouldn't be considered an influencer. Like I think that.
Well, he's a mixed martial artist. He's known for his jiu-jitsu, right? So
who?
That's
I'm talking about Dylan, the boxing sparring partner from Dublin.
Oh, Dylan Moran.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think you should fight Dylan Dennis.
Nah, Dylan Moran. Fight Dylan Moran.
Yeah. Dylan Moran will spark him.
Dylan Moran will put him to sleep.
But Jake only insulted Dylan. Like, what he's doing is quite smart because he wants to fight with McGregor. He wants the money fight, right? And he knows to like slandering them will like piss off all the Irish people. But to piss off more Irish people, come at the more smaller amateur ones, which is really smart because it's just going to get more and more Irish people being like, oh, fuck Jake Paul, like I want to see him get beat. And that in return creates demand for the fight, So it's smart. I don't think it'll happen, but it's smart.
I hope not.
Nah, it would be shit for the game if it happened.
The one thing I do, obviously I'm indifferent to what happened, whether I'm getting knocked out, it doesn't kind of put me up or down. The one thing that annoys me though is the internet tends to meme everything, and I've no problem.
Yeah.
And it's funny for the first 12 hours, but like then it comes to a point where okay, this joke is worn out. Like I've seen the man knocked out in nearly 100 different scenarios, and I'm like, it was funny for the first 10, just let it die. Like I think it's different with the Bernie Sanders meme because Bernie isn't in a vulnerable position and probably knew there was going to be a camera on him.
That was weirdly viral, that Bernie one,
but it's hilarious.
It is funny, yeah.
It's so funny.
But it was just like Bernie in loads of different situations.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. It's just beautiful. But no, I just think, the first 12 hours, like even with the Nate Robinson thing, like some
of them were quite funny.
Leave it die. Like 12 hours, fine, no problem. Just let it die. Like let it die.
It's such a stupid move getting into that fight. So it was like he's just an actual meme. To get Nate Robinson to have a legendary basketball career and get sparked like that. But I don't know. I don't think we'll see McGregor versus Jake Paul.
I hope not. That would be pointless. So tell us about your weekend. I've told you about mine.
Well, that was it, really. That was it.
Yeah.
I watched the McGregor fight, and yeah, it was really nice. I stayed up for it. My body clock's fucked. So
was it worth staying up for?
I don't know. Just I think fights right now during the pandemic are the only thing that really like separates. It's like an event now that everyone can kind of go like, oh, right, this is on, and we can stay up for this because there's literally nothing else. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the new restrictions as well because I don't know if you read into them much, but they were announced today that they're going to clamp down on traveling.
Yes. And
basically they're really making a loud message, the Irish government, to stop people like going abroad and going on holidays. So did you read about that? No,
I've read into it. I was reading the restrictions last night in relation to international travel, PCR tests. So international travel, you have to have a negative PCR test. If you don't, you have to isolate for 2 weeks at your own expense. You have to get a test within the isolation facility, and if you get a negative test, you can leave after, I think, is it 3 days. And if you don't get a test at your own expense, you have to stay there for the 2 weeks. I think.
Wait. So hold on, let's bring it back. They announced. Well, first of all, they announced that our level 5 is now till March 3rd, so it's over a month away.
Right.
And then secondary to that, I read.
Sidebar. I'd just like to thank all the healthcare workers, the nurses, the doctors, and every essential worker out there that has helped us through this. You actually don't get enough credit. I've been talking to a lot of genuinely.
Sorry, that just reminded me so much of the David Guetta video. Where he's like, shout out to his family.
No, on a serious note, I have
shout out to the nurses.
I have a lot of friends who are doctors and nurses, and I've been speaking to them recently, and it sounds like an absolute war zone. ICU beds are filling fast. They have had to create new beds. I just can't. And that it's not just the healthcare workers; it's everyone who is deemed an essential worker that is getting up in the morning, going to work with the fear and the what's the word I'm looking for, the probability that they might get a virus going to do it. So I just want to thank all of them.
Shout out to them.
Because I get to sit at home and work from home. So I'm not putting myself in harm's way. So, that's just.
Well, I have a friend that was in hospital there, and he said that they are crazy in there.
Yeah.
But he also said that they're running such a tight ship. So it's like they've been doing this for like a year now, and they know what's going on, and everyone is just like pulling their weight and just being amazing. So I was kind of like a very positive thing he said about the situation in there is like, while they're crazy, they're killing it.
They don't get enough thanks. at
No,
all.
definitely not.
They really don't. And you all know who you are if you're listening.
Yeah, shout out to you. But
So,
they're setting up the restrictions of now. They're now till fucking March 5th,
which obviously doesn't make Travis too happy.
not at all. But I was kind of prepared for that.
Yeah.
So now they're setting up checkpoints at the airport.
Yeah. Roads to the airport. Yeah.
So yeah. So
So
that basically
So what it is they're setting up checkpoints on the way to the airport, and if you've deemed to be 5 kilometers outside of your home, then it's not classed as essential.
Right.
So you have to deem that your journey is essential.
Yeah. So they're kind of like putting checkpoints on the roads with the emphasis on them going to the airport.
Yeah.
But then, is there anything else in regards to traveling that they've clamped down on or stopping? If for people that are trying to go abroad,
I'm unaware because I haven't read the details in their entirety.
So I read that arrivals will need a negative PCR test.
Yeah.
So you actually won't need that to go. You'll just need it to come back.
It's based on the countries that you're going to.
Right. Okay.
So it'll be done at the gate of the airline. So, like if you were going to South Africa, or if you were going to the UK, I think you need, like, I don't know because I haven't read it.
Yeah.
However, logically, because there's travel bans to both of those countries, you would need the PCR test to go there.
Okay.
It's based on the
Will be South Africa and Brazil are banned.
That's it, yeah. It's based on the incidence rate and the case rate, so that would be set by them. So you'd have to look into the countries themselves, restrictions and stuff. So that's what it would be based on.
And then the next thing they said was that they're thinking about doing the mandatory quarantine.
Yes.
But they also said at the same time that they don't have the facilities for it.
Mm.
So I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, I assume what they want to do with it, the hotel out in City West is a quarantine facility as it stands. Yeah. So how that works is you fly into the country, and if you don't have the negative test for the last 72 hours, you then have to quarantine. We have the facilities. I think there should be a mandatory quarantine. I think it should come a lot sooner. I was listening to Professor, I think it's Tom, I can't think of his second name, but he was on Claire Byrne last night, and he said a zero COVID approach isn't actually getting the numbers down to zero. It's attacking the virus like it's a murder case within the community. So to do that, you have to chase every case down. You have to invest in contact tracing. You have to aggressively target that case, quarantine it and isolate it. Now he's saying that, again, it's not zero every day because you're going to have one or two, but it's how you react to that, which I'm all for a zero COVID approach. And people are saying that you can't do it on the island with two borders, which that completely isn't true.
That's what I'm reading as well.
Yeah.
But I think the reason this is all blown up is, I'm assuming it's because of the influencers abroad.
Oh, are we getting into that?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So this is my 2 cents, right?
Yeah. So basically, tell us what you think of that.
Right. So, my opinion on this is everybody is an adult. Everybody is entitled to do what they see fit, as long as they take personal responsibility. You should be following guidelines. You should be doing that. If you break guidelines, I just have no time. However, these influencers that are going to the likes of Dubai and so on and so forth, you have to wake up. Like at the end of the day, you can go on a holiday and like before this and post it everywhere. But I think a lot of them don't seem to understand is they are influencers. Yeah. So the word itself kind of tells you what they do for a living. They influence people. So if you follow someone online and you type in their name to Instagram and you click onto their profile and like Mr. X is in Dubai partying it up in a pool beach party, spraying champagne in the middle of a pandemic, and
sorry, go ahead.
And you're at a pool party and you log on and check his Instagram and you're like, oh, he's an Instagram, or he's on Instagram, he's doing it, sure, what's the big deal? So, and it's a chain reaction of like there's a behavior being set.
Yeah.
Like use your platform to influence people positively. Like, I get that people are struggling with this, and I get people deal with it differently, but like the message that's being sent out there is just...
Yeah, so there is an element of personal responsibility, but it's the fact that they're basically over there, right? And they're saying like, "Oh, we're here," and they're basically advertising it a wee bit.
And do you know what's even better?
While everyone else is kind of
do you know what's even better?
sacrificing
Do
their
you know what's
life.
even better about all of this now, right? That pisses me off to no end. I'm out here for work. Sorry.
Did you say that?
Oh, I've seen so many of them say that. So you have one or two people. I've just come to Dubai for 5 or 6 weeks because my business is here. What? Oh, sorry. You wanted to take bikini pics, like to sell your shitty car air freshener.
So do you not think it's fair that someone should say, right, well, I have the ability, like our country is handling it this way. The flight's going, like, I'm an adult. I take personal responsibility. I can go and live in a country that's just doing things differently. Do you think that's kind of okay? An okay attitude? Or?
No, I don't. I don't think it's an okay attitude in the middle of a global pandemic when you have a couple of 100,000 people following you. At all.
Yeah.
I just like.
So what if they did it and they didn't post about it?
See, that's a fine line. Like, again, there's an element of personal responsibility. However, if you've got a public platform, no matter what anyone says, you've got an example to set.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? So if they didn't post about it or they didn't advertise it, do you think that would be more acceptable?
Like, I don't think it would be, especially in a global pandemic.
Yeah.
I just think that it comes back to this. So we look and we see all these people going abroad, and whatever they, but you go over to Vincent's, you go over to James's, you go to the CUH in Cork, you go to the Mercy in Cork, UHL in Limerick, any hospital in this country. I was watching the Late Late Show the other night. I know. Shout out to Ryan. I'll see you soon.
Shout out to his family.
Shout out Ryan Tuberty. I'll be in, the acting career. There was a woman on it, and she was talking about how her husband, the love of her life, went into hospital and he couldn't breathe, and they took him to the ICU. And normally they'd be chatting every day and how he was and so on and so forth, and he died.
Oh, okay.
He's dead. And that's just one story. I don't know the rest of them. That's just one story throughout the country. And what a lot of people forget about this is behind all these numbers, and it's so hard for people to remember this, behind every number is someone's loved one. So it's not just one person that day. So if you've got 53 deaths, you can probably multiply that. You can probably multiply that by 2, at least minimum 2 people that love that person. I would minimum say 4. So that's 200 people that no longer have a loved one, and that's every day. And people are going off like influencers to all these foreign destinations, and they're posting about it, and like it's slapping the face. Like I know nurses and I know doctors and I know all essential workers. They're going in busting their bollocks, and you open up your Instagram app and you see this, and you're like, sorry. It's just, there's a little more to like people are all forgetting, like, yes, we're in a global pandemic. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, people are struggling with their mental health. However, there's a bigger picture here. Like,
there's a bigger picture, but you could argue that it's their life and it's their choice, and it's not
a very selfish way to be?
I mean,
like, fuck everyone else. I'm going to do what I want. I need this.
It's not that I'm saying it isn't, but I don't know if I'm in this kind of mentality of like just everyone suffering when they shouldn't have to either. And I know that sounds unsympathetic, but it's really not, considering where I'm coming from.
How would you say suffering, as in when they shouldn't have to? What way shouldn't they have to?
There's no end in sight for this. And that's very, very frustrating for everyone. Now, obviously, the people on the front line are doing their best, and they're doing an amazing job. But it's more just how I would see it. I don't see it as because they've went into that line of work and they're doing all this, that every single person should put their life fully on hold. And I hope that doesn't sound like too selfish.
However, I understand what you're saying. However, we didn't have 2,000 cases before Christmas, and it comes back to that whole reins being loosened thing again.
Yeah,
and people and I broke no guidelines during Christmas. I adhered to the guidelines, which I was entitled to. I was entitled to leave my 5K, and I did. And I went to town. I wore my mask and sanitized and kept distance. However, people didn't, and here we are.
Yeah, and you know what? When we did that, when we were allowed to do that during Christmas, and they loosened the reins a bit, we still had people, commenting on our TikToks and saying like, "What the hell are you doing? My loved one died." So I just feel like that is always going to be there. We had a TikTok where my mask came off for 2 seconds, and I had someone get very emotional about that, and I'm just a wee bit sick of that attitude. To be honest,
I can understand it.
I have empathy for these people. I do, but at the same time, like, I do have a bit of an issue with people telling me how to live my life. Especially when this hits all of us different. I did explain this last time. But
as I said, right, a lot of people are giving out about this, and they're going to Dubai and saying, it's tough and whatever. But like, this is how I kind of put it into perspective. Nobody I know has died, thankfully.
Yeah.
Nobody is. I haven't gone through that suffering. And as well, if you look back to the early 1940s, there was a world war going on. Like, would you rather this? I know it's not comparable, but would you rather this, or would you rather be in a trench in Normandy?
Oh, of course.
And
that's what I mean.
Like, people seem to forget this, and I know people are annoyed with the whole situation of, we can't get back to normality. But for me personally, this is my thing. It's a bigger picture. People are jobless. The economy's in the tank. The health service is on its knees. People are suffering with their mental health. The longer that people are divided on the issue, the longer this is going to go on. And I think people are after forgetting that. Like, I can understand, pull together and all that. But if people aren't willing to come up with a cohesive plan to work together on it, we're going to be in this for a long time.
Right? It's like most things. There's people that are kind of morally sound and people that are morally unsound, and I think like there's a lot of shit influencers. There really is, and that's just the way it is. But there's a lot of good influencers, and I think the shitting on the influencer card is very easy to play right now. But when in fact these guys, a lot of them have worked very hard to become financially independent and earn the ability to live where they want. So if they are financially independent and they can and they actually, pandemic or not, can go and live in Dubai or Bali, and then a pandemic happens where they're restricted, you can kind of see why they would go, well, look, I am actually not tied to this country. I've worked hard to get financial freedom. So, but it's easy. It's kind of like why wouldn't they go to somewhere that has their doors open?
But it's easy to
catering to them and saying like, well, look, you can have literally a better life here if you just come here.
It's easier to shit on influencers because I'll come back to my favorite saying: you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and that's why it's so easy to shit on them, because they do stupid things.
I think there's an incredible amount of envy towards influencers as well, especially in Ireland. We really shit on them.
No, I disagree.
We do though.
I disagree on that. There's no envy on my part, but when I open my Instagram app and I've seen someone that's living in Dublin up until a week ago and they're gone on a little 3-week holiday there or 4-week holiday to Dubai. That's look, if you're moving to that country, I would not have an issue, because you are moving there, you are relocating, that is becoming your primary country of residence. But it's this jetting off for a couple of weeks, like 4 or 5 weeks to party up in Dubai to get a couple of saucy snaps for the gram, like
it's a weird one, man.
Like there's a huge difference between travel during a global pandemic and immigration.
Yeah, well, a lot of them have kind of emigrated. It's weird. It's because a lot of them make so much money.
They have not immigrated. They're just there because.
Well, I'll give you an example. Rob Lipsett, right? He was in London. He escaped to Dubai literally, and he's kind of he's at the place financially now where he's like, I could actually go without a return ticket because I've just got so much money coming in.
But however, I'd say that Rob isn't ramming it down anyone's throat. Like I did say that to you the other night. Like I do I follow him? I think I do. I was looking at a story and it's not being rammed down your throat, whereas there's other influencers there that are literally bammed out on the beach.
Well, that's what I mean. There's always going to be worse ones, right? Ones that are just so insensitive. But then I think we are painting them all with the same brush, you know, and that's why I was talking about it. Dubai / influencers, you know, everyone's seeing it. I guess what I'm saying is kind of course they're going to do it.
Do you think that's acceptable?
I think if you're financially free and you have personal responsibility, then it's your choice.
However, do you not believe that, as you said previous with the Conor McGregor chat, that you owe it to your fans or your followers to set a good example? Because they have given you everything. They've given you your financial freedom. And do you think
does that mean you're meant to just sit in isolation in a country that's in full lockdown because you want to set a good example?
No, it's morally and ethically that you're setting a good example to the people that have given you everything. Like, do you think there's a social responsibility there, or does it go out the window when you become financially free?
There is social responsibility for sure.
If you look at majority of people that have a platform, a lot of them aren't jetting around to Dubai.
No, look, there's people I support, and I don't expect them to bow down to what I think they should be doing because it's their life. No,
but nobody's saying to
they already give me something. That's why I support them.
But nobody's.
So I don't actually require anything else from them. Do you know?
But nobody's saying that they need to bow down. But I think that's a very master and subject view. How I would view it is, if it was me, I'd sit down and, because you know how I weigh up, like I weigh up based on not damage limitation, but you know how this will affect myself and others around me.
Yeah.
Like if I have a platform like that, I'm thinking, like there's somebody out there that could possibly, I'm not saying I have a following, by the way. I'm saying that there's someone out there that could say, oh, do you know what? This is a license for that person to do this. And like, if you look at, I'll just give you an example. Like if you look at Trump and his rise to power, he uttered words at the start of January about taking back the power, and his mob marched on the Capitol and tried to mount a rebellion based on his words, right? So that's the power that one person has. Now, yes, he is the president of the United States. However, on a smaller scale, if you've got a large following and you're setting that example, then how are other people expected to follow advice they've been given, or so on and so forth? You get what I mean? It comes back to that whole chain reaction. So for me personally, I would always factor that in on my decision, because if I was in a position like that, I wouldn't want anyone else to be exhibiting that behaviour that could cause the rest of the country to be in lockdown. But I understand what you mean, but I suppose that's just a personal choice to me.
Yeah, I guess I'm always in the mind frame of, you know, your life, your choice, as long as you're kind of being responsible. And I guess I didn't really think about it too much more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
like the way I look at it is, if I decide in the morning to, we'll say, do an influencer job, which is a 4-week holiday to Dubai, right?
Yeah.
And I start lashing up my story and I start saying, oh, it's for work, which we all know it's not, lads. You just want to, like, they all want to go. They all want to get a tan, and they want to take the saucy Instagram pics to get the likes.
Well, it's not just influencers. We all want to do it, right? So they just have the ability to do it.
Well, I think a lot of people have the ability but choose not to. I know quite a few people that have the ability to do that. You do as well. Yeah. But we don't.
I think a lot of people would do it. A lot of normal people would do it if they could.
The way I look at it is, right,
I think a lot of people are in the position where they can't do it. So
but I look the way
it's very easy for them to be like, you know, fuck you.
Like what I say
I think it has a lot to do with what you can and what you are able to and unable to do.
No, see the way
I think, and that is why there's so much hostility towards influencers, because of all the money and people look at them and you think like, oh, like, how the fuck is this dude, you know, earning 4Gs, or how is he wearing Gucci? Like, what a twat. He just makes videos. And that is Irish.
Me personally, right, it's I'm booking a flight to go to Dubai. If I was in that position, I'm booking a flight. Like, I'm thinking, I'm going out here, I'm going to post some photos.
Mm-hmm.
But yet back where I'm from, which is my resident country, people are dying on trolleys, loved ones. The doctors and nurses are busting it. Like, to me, I can forego a holiday for that. Like, I know it's your life and you can do what you want, but to me, it's a little bit more important than getting 3 weeks of sun in Dubai and grand pics. Like.
Yeah. But as we said last time, a lot of people are really, really not personally connected to the pandemic, myself included. You know, I know one person that has it and he's completely fine. I don't know anyone that's died from it. I don't know anyone that's suffering. So I'm very far removed from that. So I'm going to base my decisions differently. I'm not justifying it at all. But you have to remember there are a lot of people out there that are so far removed from the reality of it. And
is it those people's responsibility to educate themselves on the reality? Or whose responsibility is it?
That's a good question.
Because it is everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking to a nurse last night, and they were saying to me that like it's a shit show.
Yeah.
So
I don't know who that's on, to be honest. There really is kind of a lot of individualism when it comes to the pandemic.
That's the point.
Fatigue and
that's the point I'm making, is that to me my decisions are based on the collective, not the individual. So I can go without slipping off to Dubai and taking saucy pics for the sake of this being over faster.
Look, it's really hard, and I think there's no benefit to anyone in starting to measure who it's harder for. That doesn't benefit anyone.
No,
it doesn't benefit when you scream at people and you say, "Put on your mask, my granny's been in blah blah blah." That doesn't, like, well, I emphasize with that, and I emphasize with everyone that's going through that. That's not gonna do anything for people that just are far removed from it. So I think that's a very...
So whose responsibility is it to seek out this information? Because people are detached from it, and I see it. Like, to
again,
me,
that's kind of what the government has to tie up every day. You know, there is a certain amount of people that won't abide by anything. You know, they account all this when it comes to measures and, you know, restrictions and numbers. There's always accountability, because, you know, a whole country isn't going to give you 100% compliance. It doesn't happen anywhere unless it's China. You know, so there's always outliers.
To me, this is a personal thing. I don't know if it's for you, but if I don't understand the topic, I'd be the first one to put my hand up and say, I don't know enough about that, let me research it. And I think a big problem in this country is that we lack critical thinking. So
100%.
Nobody will actually research a topic. Like if I said to someone that I'm reading this, they'll just be like, oh, instead of researching it. So I think that's a huge issue. Who that's on, I see. Again, I think it, in relation to the influencers, I think it comes back to this. As long as something doesn't affect someone personally in their day-to-day life, doesn't affect them, they don't give a shit. And that's,
well, it's not that I think their attitude is right. I kind of I kind of just understand it, as opposed to I think it's right or wrong. I just understand it, because I mean, my perception of this changes all the time, especially as it gets longer and it gets extended, and I get fatigued, and I'm starting to go like, well, I've lost a year of my life, you know, and it could be more. And
when I hear this, I've lost a year of my life, and I was talking to someone very recently, and the two of us were discussing this. People are all saying, "Oh, I've lost it," and it's such a negative thing, but it's not, because yes, there is a lot of negatives. Yes, there's a lot of death. There's countless negative things. However, there's been a lot of positives. Like
there is, but again, I think like that's you can't just say to someone like,
no, but
you can't feel that. It's been positive. No, like
however, I am saying I understand that. However, though, I am saying, when you say I've lost a year of my life, I wouldn't say you have. You've just had a different experience to the one that you thought you were going to have.
Well, it would be more in regards to like goals I had, and when you get into the perception of like, right, you know, life is short, time goes fast, and you get into that mind frame, and then something like this happens, you really, really do feel like you've lost a year of your life for sure.
But is that not a personal outlook choice?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but lots of people have that personal outlook.
If you See,
do you know what I mean? Like,
I'd be the flip side of that. I would say, right, look, this has happened. However, this is what's come from it. You know,
I know what you're saying, and I think a lot of people in Ireland have the same outlook as you. I would tend to have a wee bit of a different outlook. There's nothing wrong with either. You know,
I do think though it does come back to that point, like, and it's not just in a pandemic. It's something I notice throughout life in most of my experiences, both work life and personal life. As long as something, no matter what it is, as long as something doesn't actually affect an individual directly or indirectly via family or mess with their life, daily life, and their wages or whatever they are, they literally do not give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it doesn't affect their bubble or their universe, they couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely have a preference towards freedom and choice and freedom of movement, and you know, this. Are
you wearing a tinfoil hat?
Fuck. Yeah, hopefully I'm not perceived this way. But look, I'm just gonna wrap up that topic. You are a no to influencers traveling.
I am. Yep.
Okay.
And I'm going to end it on this note. I just think that the healthcare workers, every other essential worker, and everyone has sacrificed far too much for influencers to take bikini pics.
Yeah. So totally fair. And I'm not saying I disagree, but I'm just a little bit more, I think, understanding of how some of them feel. Don't get me wrong. There's people that I can't, justify.
Yeah.
But there always is. I mean, hopefully it'll be safe to travel during the summer. I don't really know.
I hope so.
I've travelled during the pandemic. I've travelled twice during the pandemic.
But you were adhering to guidelines both times.
Yeah, well,
there were green list countries.
There was a green list country, and then the second time was this essential surgery.
Yeah.
So I've had the experience.
So you didn't break the guidelines.
I didn't break the guidelines. Just
there's my point. You're adhering to you are adhering to the guidelines, unlike these people.
And I always have. I've adhered to all the guidelines, but
see,
again, guys, sorry.
And why are you doing this? Because you're setting a good example.
Yeah. But we have in this house, yeah. But there you go.
My point is.
But I think that's the reason why I can say, hey, well, maybe, I understand what they're thinking, because it's not because I'm doing it. It's because while I've been, abiding to the guidelines, I can see their frame of mind.
But you're abiding to the guidelines, and you are setting a good example. So
thank you. And sorry, guys, to talk about the pandemic again. We're just kind of
it's an ever evolving fluid situation.
It's the Dubai influencer topic. It's a hot topic. But we have a lot more other content on the way. Cancel culture is probably going to be our next one. But please, guys, thanks for listening. Please give us some feedback below in the comments. We'd really appreciate that. Make sure to follow us on our socials.
Travis Leon 1 and Gordon Forbes. The O in Forbes is 0.
Yes. Follow us, and please subscribe to our Patreon as well.
It's been emotional and educational.
For just $2.50 a week, you can get all the exclusive content, and we plan on making a lot of stuff that's just for Patreon. And I think lots of it involves drink, lots of it involves probably bitching as well. There's some hot steamy topics I want to get off my chest, and that's going to be on the Patreon. Yeah, there is. That's going to. It's incentive to subscribe and help us out, but also it's just stuff that can't be that public. So genuinely. So thank you so much again, guys, and